You don't have to win an award or be in a movie to draw envy. Simply walking around this world as your cute, confident, successful self can be enough. And for women like you who stand out, there is a quiet and sometimes not so quiet resentment that follows. It's called tall poppy syndrome. If you've never heard the phrase tall poppy, I promise you already know what it is. Tall poppy syndrome is a social phenomenon where people resent, criticize, or try to tear down those who stand out for any number of reasons. Success, attractiveness, talent, confidence, happiness. In other words, those who grow taller than the rest of the field. The term comes from the idea that in a field of poppies, the tallest one gets cut down in order to be uniform with all the rest. In this video, I am going to share 15 signs that you are a tall poppy and how to deal with it. Okay, ladies, let's do this. Regardless of where you live or how you live, that behavior exists everywhere, specifically in two key areas. Number one, the online culture. Number two, close proximity relationships like a group of friends. But why does this happen? In a nutshell, success, in whatever form that takes, triggers insecurity in certain people, actually in a lot of people. When you have achieved something visible, whether it's professional success, happiness in a relationship, confidence, attractiveness, or wealth, it triggers a certain level of irritation with some people, namely for those who feel insecure or inadequate in that realm of their life, and so they lash out against you. Instead of seeing you as inspiration and using it to fuel their own goals, they feel threatened. So, cutting down the tall poppy, that's you, gives them a feeling of equality. But as you know, the attacks are disguised. People aren't just coming out and saying, hey, I'm really jealous of you, so I'm gonna be really mean. Instead, they reframe their criticism in three key ways so that it feels justified. Moral superiority. She doesn't know what she's doing. Personal attacks. She's so fake, or oh my God, she's so out of touch. Or dismissing your achievement. You know she only got that because, ... Sometimes the moment you stand out, you become a magnet for resentment. Here are 15 subtle signs that you are a tall poppy and exactly how to deal with it. Number one, people criticize your success instead of congratulating you. You share a win, something that you've worked hard for, and instead of hearing, oh my gosh, amazing, I'm so happy for you, you get, must be nice for you, or you're so lucky, some of us have real jobs. Look, genuine praise requires self-confidence. It takes security in your own path to celebrate someone else's. Unfortunately for some, your success becomes a mirror reflecting things that they haven't yet achieved that they would like to. Risks they didn't take, work they weren't willing to do. So, criticism is of course the easier route. You share with friends that you've landed your dream job, and she says, well, you were in the right place at the right time. You share a big fitness milestone, something you're proud of, and people say, yeah, but you don't have kids, so it's easier for you. Or you buy your first home and you're so excited, and instead of congratulations, you hear, enjoy those mortgage payments. Don't take the bait. Smile and say, thanks. That way you take control of the narrative without sounding defensive. Second, your confidence gets labeled as arrogance. I feel this happens most often to women. And gentlemen, if you are listening, tell me if I'm wrong. Standing tall, speaking clearly, holding your ground, ruffles feathers in certain types of men and women, but often for different reasons because it pushes against deeply ingrained social conditioning. For men, a confident woman may be perceived as intimidating, which some men interpret as rejection before it even happens. It's easier to dismiss her as arrogant as opposed to just engaging with her on equal footing. For women, we're often taught, whether directly or indirectly, that modesty, self-effacement, and softness are the way to be liked. So a confident woman can unconsciously make others feel as though they are doing it wrong or upsetting the apple cart. Stand your ground and continue doing you. You don't need to shrink yourself to meet anybody's expectations. Eagles were meant to fly, baby. You're attacked on irrelevant traits. When people can't find direct fault with you, they'll find something, anything, and oftentimes it's completely benign and ever so irrelevant. Directly challenging your skills, results, or your integrity is risky. They might be proven wrong, but picking at something subjective, like your age, your voice, your outfit, your sweater. That's safe to them. They can disguise it as just an opinion while still cutting you down. Listen, it's not about the earrings, it's not about your tone, it's not about your age, it's not about how you look. It's about trying to make you look smaller in the eyes of anybody else who's listening. You post a thoughtful piece of advice and the first comment is, "Her voice is so annoying." You're praised for hosting a beautiful dinner and somebody says, "Well, those plates are interesting." Listen, take it as a compliment. If they had something legitimate to critique, they'd use it. Targeting your style, your age, your voice, your earrings usually means that they can't find anything else to fault. You notice subtle social snubs. How do you like that for alliteration? Suddenly you're not in the group text anymore. You weren't invited to girls' night out for drinks. Someone throws a party, but geez, all of a sudden you're not invited. That is not your cue to chase. That's your cue to invest in people who do make space for you and who do love you for just who you are. Perfectness and all, yo. Your success is diminished as easy for you. They'll say you got lucky, or well, you're naturally good at it, so, or well, you just have good genes. Minimizing the 5 a.m. wake-up calls, the years of traveling, the hours and hours of sweat equity, and years of effort that you put into it to make it to where you are. Appointed, well, it takes a lot of time and dedication to get here, reframes the narrative. I have traditionally always gotten this with regard to my physique. A woman will ask, "Hey, what do you do for your workout?" And when I share it with her, the first response is, "Yeah, well, you don't have kids, so that's easy for you." Never mind the fact that, especially when I worked corporate, I was at the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning, so I could be into the office by 7:30 or 8. Number 6, people downplay your achievements. Have you ever noticed how people slip the word just into a sentence? She's just a YouTuber. She's just in fashion. She's just a stay-at-home mom. Just is their way of making your work, your skills, your effort sound minimal and insignificant. Why? Because downplaying your results makes them feel less threatened. If they reframe what you have achieved as insignificant, then they don't have to acknowledge the dedication, the intelligence, the work ethic, and the resilience that it takes to succeed at whatever it is you do. It's also used as a defense mechanism. If they can convince themselves and maybe others that what you do is easy, they don't have to face the reality that they could be doing it too, but they're not. You land a major brand deal and somebody says, "It's just Instagram." You run a thriving small business and your annoying uncle says, "Isn't that a cute little hobby?" Or you publish a book and someone says, "Well, anyone can self-publish nowadays." Own your lane. Take a seat at the table. If the moment feels right, appointed, "If it's that easy, why don't you do it?" Can shut them down quickly. Friends go dark after a win. Sometimes your success triggers comparisons from those closest to you. If your first urge is to chase them down, don't. The right friends are the first ones to stand up and clap when you win. Strangers feel entitled to critique your life. Visibility makes people think that they have access to you. Remember, block and delete are boundaries, not drama, ladies. That is not just for people like myself. You are all undoubtedly on Instagram and maybe even Facebook. Have you ever had a random snarky comment to a benign post? I bet you have. The beauty of YouTube, I will tell you, is the block button, which I use extensively. And here's the thing, the perpetrators never know it. The second someone trolls our channel, I block them. No second chances. The fun part is that they have no idea, because when you block someone, on their end, it looks like their comment posted. I can't see it and none of you can see it, only they can. It's essentially them yelling in an empty room. Second, ladies, you may not know this, but YouTube has a blocked words portion, which a lot of creators like myself use. So you can go in there and put just a slew of words that if used in a comment, that comment automatically goes into a black hole and nobody ever sees it. I have blocked words in there probably this long, words you would never even think about. What happens is the second somebody posts a nasty comment with one of those blocked words, it goes into the trash bin. They think it's posted, so they feel they got their jab in. I don't see it and you don't see it. Use block and delete. Number 9, who hasn't had this? Your looks are used against you. If you're attractive, you're self-absorbed. If you're fit, you must have lots of time on your hands. If you're polished, you're trying too hard. It is one of the oldest tricks in the Tall Poppy Handbook to turn a strength into a supposed flaw. Appearance is really easy to attack because it's so subjective and it can be framed as, well, it's just my opinion. And for somebody who is dealing with their own insecurities, it's low-hanging fruit. They can diminish you without addressing your actual achievements. Ladies, listen, it is not about your looks. It never is. It's about how confidently you wear them. You show up to a meeting all put together and someone says, well, wow, you're all fancy today. You arrive to meet friends in a chic outfit and someone says, well, geez, I didn't realize we were getting so dressed up tonight. You've worked hard to be strong and healthy and someone says, must be nice to spend hours and hours at the gym. How to deal with it? Smile and say, thanks, it is. People question your morals. Like nice things, a pretty bag, a great pair of shoes, a fancy vacation. We've all heard this one before. You're shallow, you're greedy, you're materialistic, you're trying to be something you're not. They reframe your success as a moral failing so that they can feel more superior. If they can somehow make your lifestyle seem less virtuous, they don't have to feel uncomfortable about their own choices or their own limitations. For women especially, there's an outdated expectation that ambition and elegance has to somehow be balanced. And when I say balanced, I mean balanced with a level of self-denial in order to be respectable. When you unapologetically enjoy what you've earned, it greatly unsettles those who have been taught that wanting more is somehow bad. It's not bad. Listen, you don't owe anybody an explanation. The moment that you start defending your choice, you have now given control of the narrative to the offender. Don't give it to them. You do you. You get backhanded compliments. Who hasn't gotten this before? That dress is so pretty. I could never wear anything that flashy. My husband would hate it. Take the compliment, leave the dig. You're held to impossible standards. When you stand out, whether it is your career, the way you look, your style, or simply the way you carry your cute self, people start holding you to a different set of rules. The higher you rise, the smaller the margin of error becomes. I'll say it again. The higher you rise, the smaller the margin of error becomes. It's no longer a level playing field. Everyone else can make the same mistake and you know what, it's forgotten in a couple days. But for you, one tiny slip and they are ready to pounce. Proof in their minds that you are not as perfect as you think. You miss a deadline once in 5 years and instead of a little grace, you hear, wow, I thought you were always so on it. But others who regularly miss deadlines, crickets. You nicely decline an invite because you're exhausted, and someone says, well, I guess you just do it when it so suits you. You're known for being polished. Maybe you even have a style channel. So the one day you wear something they don't like, they're the first to call you out, all warm and cozy in their Crocs and tennis skirt. Your generosity gets overlooked. When you give, whether it's your time, your money, your resources, or even your connections, you might expect a little thank you, a little acknowledgement, please. Not for the tall poppy. Instead of focusing on what you did, they focus on what you didn't do. Generosity builds social capital, and for someone already inclined to feel competitive with you, that can be threatening. Recognizing your kindness would raise your social status higher. So instead, they move the goalpost. It's their way of keeping you in check. You help organize a friend's birthday dinner and cover the cake, but later hear, she didn't even stay to help clean up. You donate to a cause, and someone says, well, someone like you could certainly do a lot more than that. Number 14, you're a magnet for nitpickers. Oh my goodness, ladies, if I had $1 for every nitpicky comment that I've ever gotten on this channel, I'd buy a private island. When you stand out, you also stand out to the people who love catching mistakes. Not because they care about accuracy, but because it's the easiest way to cut you down. Nitpicking, ladies, is about dominance, not detail. A statistic that's off by 1%, the exact date of an event. They get a quick ego boost because they feel that they're slightly above you. Tall poppy syndrome makes this behavior even more common, unfortunately. Because nitpicking is a socially acceptable way to make a confident woman look less impressive without being openly rude, although we all know as women that it's rude. You're telling a story and somebody jumps in. Actually, it was 9:02 a.m., not 9 a.m. You're doing a video, which you've clearly labeled British Airways, but you use British Air as shorthand in the video. And someone has to comment, it's British Airways in all caps. Relax. These, in my opinion, are the people who are so focused on nitpicking the details that they never get anywhere because they're missing the message. It's like if a world-class chef was trying to show you how to bake his famous cake and you have one chance to get it. And instead of focusing on how to bake the cake and the ingredients and the techniques, you're focusing on you hate his chef's hat, you hate his eyebrows, the way he talks annoys you, he's got a hair sticking out. Meanwhile, everybody else watching the recipe now has it and you don't. Number 15, ladies, people tell you to tone it down. Be humble, keep it down. Don't make such a big deal out of it. On the surface, it can sound like friendly advice, but often it's not about protecting you, it's about making them more comfortable. When you shine brightly through your style, your voice, your success, the way you hold yourself, or even just your presence, it can highlight somebody else's insecurities. And instead of rising to meet you, because that would take effort, they instead want to lower the ceiling so that you are forced into line with everybody else. They want you to be smaller, quieter, easier to overlook. But here's the truth. You do not exist to make people more comfortable with their own limitations. Hold your space. Speak at full volume. Wear the ugly sweater. Celebrate yourself and do not cut yourself down to make other people feel comfortable. Tall poppy syndrome thrives when we self-edit out of fear of standing out. The world doesn't need you smaller. It needs you strong, proud, tall, and amazing just like you are. Have a great weekend, ladies, and I will see you Tuesday. Take care.